This drama has been shaking the internet for the last couple days, and I'm glad I'm finally able to cover it because I think this signifies a really positive move culturally for the internet. I think it's a signifier that we could be taking a step, a very large stride, I should say, not just a step, a large stride in the right direction collectively as a culture on the internet. And that is because, more or less, a Me Tooing has happened, but no one's calling it, no one's doing the hashtag Me Too thing, and nonetheless, there are swarms of people coming out to call out abuse and to defend victims in a way that just wasn't as unanimous even like a few years ago, because the Me Too movement had polarized many into a level of like just unhealthy skepticism, like just taking it way too far, overcorrecting way too hard, and getting way too skeptical of allegations like this to the point where no one was willing to actually believe any kind of allegations and actually hold anyone accountable for them, regardless of how guilty. It really does seem like we're moving in a direction away from that. And a lot of my reason for this centers around someone who has more or less become the main character of streaming over the last month, or I guess she's the main protagonist of streaming over the last month, and Hassan would be the main antagonist of streaming over the last month, if I were to lay it out. And this protagonist we're speaking of is none other than Emiru. She is a cosplayer, gaming streamer, IRL streamer, sort of just broad, like, just talking, I think, or just chatting streamer as well. She's very popular. She used to be really associated with the OTK guys like Asmongold and Tectone, but as they got a lot more toxic and right-wing, she just, at least publicly, has not really been hanging out with them and collabing with them and stuff. So I don't know where she stands politically, but it's really not relevant to either of the stories that we're talking about here. But she just seems like a good person. Like, there's nothing about her that comes off as bad to me, even if in the past she's spent a lot of time with individuals that we know today to be, cringe as fuck. So she seems to not be cringe, though. You know who is cringe? Her ex-boyfriend, who is also a pretty popular streamer, though, and this is important, not as popular as his ex-girlfriend Emiru. That being mizkif. You gotta know who this guy is. If you don't, he's a gaming streamer. Also does a lot of, like, variety content, IRL stuff. He's actually been in a fair amount of drama for shenanigans he's engaged in real life streams. I think at one point he got into drama because he went to Japan and started, like, monkey barring and doing, pull-ups on the branches of the blossoming cherry trees. People started calling him out on the street, and then when that obviously made it to the internet lost their fucking mind over how disrespectful and cringe he was being. So he had to do a big apology. And I bring this all up. I don't want to be like isn't this the guy who yada yada, but I bring this up just to maybe remind some of you, because chances are if you don't know who mizkif is, you probably heard that story. And it also helps to illustrate that he's not a stranger to drama, especially not significant drama like this. But this is way more severe than anything he's faced in the past, and he has no one to blame but himself. Because as it turns out, mizkif is allegedly, because mizkif has money and I feel like he's spiteful enough to sue, mizkif is allegedly a domestic abuser. Now, that allegedly is doing a lot of heavy lifting, considering the amount of evidence to back up this claim that exists both publicly prior to all this coming out, as well as what's been released from private. It all suggests that everything Emiru has said about mizkif is true. It also helps that he did a pretty bad job of denying her allegations, more or less admitting to them. So he's cooked. Mizkif is cooked. His ex-girlfriend has nuked him. Not only in the world of streaming, where she is a way more successful streamer than he is, and that was part of why he was abusing her, mind you, and that will be relevant in a moment. But on top of that, he's just a salty little guy. He's just a salty little small guy. I don't think fake victims are that common, honestly. I think those are mostly campaigns to silence legitimate victims. I mean, fake victims do exist, and you should be concerned about them. It just never feels like people are actually pointing their concern about these things at the people who are actually fake victims. Take, for instance, and burn me at the stake if you have to, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, fake-ass victim, bro. Like, I'm gonna be real. The more I dig into that whole situation, the more I realize that the entire internet was just under a collective, not even delusion, just in a collective agreement that no matter what happens or what evidence comes out, Amber Heard is the evil, lying, manipulative abuser, and Johnny Depp is an angel who is totally not weird despite, like, every girl he gets with being decades younger than him. Like, you know, there's nothing weird about that. There's nothing weird about that. Johnny Depp, totally normal guy, no public red flags that should suggest maybe this stuff actually does have a point. Anyway, mizkif, pretty cringe. Emiru, pretty based. But this whole situation is wild, and I want to dig into it a little bit because we get to have a little bit of commentary on the nature of domestic violence. The nature of domestic violence specifically between popular public figures who both have a lot to gain and lose with their careers, and, you know, that kind of thing can influence their actions, maybe make them act more rational than they would otherwise, or more often less rational than they would otherwise, or might empower an abuser or a victim to engage in certain actions they otherwise wouldn't have. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about here, but most importantly, I want to go over the ways in which people's response to this is a really good sign about the direction people are taking with their politics. Now, before we get into this video, I do want to ask you guys, if you're liking it so far, consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really does help a lot. It supports my channel immensely, whether I'm, you know, live or you're watching this as a video. Thank you to everybody who hits that thumbs up, leaves a comment, hypes the video, subscribes, and rings the bell icon. It's all very, very much appreciated and totally free. But with that said, let's get right into this video on Emiru dropping the nuke on mizkif.
Viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Twitch streamer Emiru has accused fellow streamer Mizkif of assault, abuse, stalking, harassment, and threats of blackmail.
Today, I'm finally gonna...
What do you mean by that, Mr. whatever this commentary channel's name is? What was the joke there?
be opening up about the psychological and domestic abuse, stalking and harassment, assault, and threats of blackmail that mizkif has done towards me, and some of these issues which are still ongoing.
Okay, on the real, let me develop some empathy. These are serious allegations, so I'm gonna chill on them.
Okay, fuck this guy. I thought this guy's video was just a breakdown of, like, all of the facts, but this guy's like, trying to be leafy, and has signaled to me he's probably racist, like, 4 times in, like, a minute. Average going on YouTube to learn about any situation, click on channel. Start hearing about the situation. Ah, this is pretty cool. Nice. Starts making racist references. Oh. Oh. In that case, we'll just watch the raw video. I was hoping a more edited down version would be available for us, but it's fine. We'll watch the raw version where Emiru basically just explains her whole side of things. And I'll just turn up the speed a little bit since it is very long. It's an hour and a half, and we obviously won't have time to watch all of it. But that shouldn't necessarily be required. Most of what I want to talk about here is people's very, and I want to be very clear, very good reaction to this. Like, mizkif has a big fan base, but mizkif's fan base's response to this has been unanimously, "Ayo, what the fuck? Emiru, we're here for you. Fuck mizkif." So I'm very happy to see that the response from demographics that would otherwise have really cringe takes on this kind of thing are showing a significant amount of maturity, I must say. Anyway, here's Emiru's video. Here's her explaining the situation, and I'll let her take the floor from here.
Well, so it's like, if I don't do it, who else is gonna do it? So, I mean, you guys
love
can probably
YouTube
tell,
bugging.
but today's not gonna be a normal stream. Not gonna, you know, watch videos or play games or anything today. I kind of just have a bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk about, and then I'm probably just gonna go offline after. But yeah, it's I mean, I like you guys know, I've been streaming for 10 years.
Guys, I think she might like Kirby. That is a fuck ton of Kirby shit, yeah. I've got a friend that if she had Emiru's income, she would have a Kirby pile like that. And there'd probably be far more Kirby merch than just that. Kirby fans are all like this. Emiru's just the only Kirby fan with this kind of expendable income to be able to have a Kirby pile. And based on what I'm seeing, that's her bed back there, which means she probably just sleeps on the Kirby pile. I would bet real money she sleeps on that Kirby pile. I would.
Last week was kind of the first time that I ever really, like, spoke about a topic or, like, something that happened to me. And honestly, I'm really glad that I did, and I'm proud that I did. And, I feel like I have to see it to its conclusion, you know, if that makes sense. Not just for myself, but for, in a way, I kind of feel like a lot of people are involved, because it doesn't just affect me. So that's why, sorry about my voice. I'm very, very nervous in case you can't tell. But I knew that this stream, had to be done today, so, yeah, pretty much, yeah, so I guess, might as well get started. Not, you know, stall too much or anything. I know there's a lot of people here who don't normally watch, and if you're wondering, yes, I do normally run 20-minute intros. And yes, my community at least claims that they like it. I think that they like it. I like playing songs for you guys, but anyway, yeah, anyway. We don't like it? Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, I'm probably gonna stop reading chat now as well, but you guys are free to say whatever you want, obviously. So, yeah, like I said before, it's been a pretty crazy week, and a lot of things have happened since the last time that I streamed in relation to what I talked about last week, the whole TwitchCon incident. Some other things happened that kind of pushed me to talk about a lot of things that I want to talk about today. So, as you can see, I wrote out my notes.
Is this Shoe on Head? No. No, this isn't Shoe on Head. No, this is, Shoe on Head is evil Emiru, to be clear.
And not only that, I have even more notes. So, yeah, if it seems like I'm, like, reading a script or something, it's because I wrote super detailed notes because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything, so yeah. Okay. So, I think everyone knows that last week, the stuff that happened at TwitchCon, I was assaulted, and the guy was able to, leave the venue, basically.
So, this was the story that got Emiru really in the line of people's attention over the last week, or a little over a week, is that she was assaulted at TwitchCon. Twitch handled it worse than you could possibly imagine. We covered this. In the aftermath, everyone has been coming out to show support to Emiru, like the entire internet, all of Twitch. And in the aftermath, I guess she felt empowered to expose mizkif for his chronic abusive behavior, which he is doing to other people too. It's not just her. It's not like, oh, the relationship's over, so she's just spitefully, like, attacking his career. Like, he is actively doing this to other people, other women. And so, she's exposing him, getting that stuff out there, making sure people know not to trust him, not to at least have a view of him that isn't accurate, right? And she's more or less maintained this level of attention through all of this that is made her the main character of streaming for the month, right? And she's not doing this for clout. I'm pretty good at detecting when people just do things for clout. She's not. But nonetheless, these two situations are very much the kind of thing that incels and anti-feminists would, as a point, as a statement, as a virtue signal, they would defend what happened to Emiru. They would defend the abuser of Emiru just to make a statement against feminism and Me Too. That is not the response we're seeing here right now. And, like, not even a little bit. Like, seriously, not even a little bit are we seeing that kind of response. It is such an overwhelming response of, like, support and believing victims. It's actually indicative to me that something somewhat recently has begun to change a lot behind the scenes in internet spaces. It really does feel like the anti-feminist, like women type mindset is perhaps not as strong as it was even a year ago today. Because, I don't know, I feel like I should be seeing waves of people defending mizkif. Just waves of anti-feminists and incels defending mizkif. You want to know how many people I've seen defending mizkif? 0. Literally none. Literally fucking 0 people defending mizkif. That's a big... That's not just, like, coincidence, I feel. That, I think, demonstrates that there are just not a lot of people out there defending him. There are not a lot of people out there defending her assaulter. The incels are real quiet right now.
Okay, so, like, intro, first thing that I want to talk about is, I did see the Twitch tweet that I believe went out yesterday. I was literally on a Discord call with my friends, and they were like, did you see that Twitch apologized to you? And I was like, wait, what? So, yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is, they put out that tweet. I was never apologized to privately. They put that out without, like, consulting me or anything. I didn't know if they were gonna do that, so that was, yeah. I mean,
Terrible
I'm glad that, they're trying to, like, take some
Twitch.
level of accountability, but there's a lot of things that they didn't mention in the tweet that I feel like should have been mentioned.
We did cover this, so I do want to get to the part where she gets to the Ms. stuff, because that's the main focus. We did a whole in-depth about the Twitch handling of the assault, so I don't want to stick on this for too long and, just recover the same ground. She has a Kirby emote too? Yeah, she's got lots of Kirby emotes.
The description of the guy, and this person was saying, like, oh, I'm at a San Diego Blade, please give us his name. After that, him, my manager demanded the info from Twitch. Manager commit to where we're going. I can't.
Yeah, Twitch is awful for this.
Taking care of that all. The lawyer are doing, but I don't feel like from my friends and other streamers, and obviously my manager gets like swept under the rug. Yeah.
All right, I think this is it.
Pretty heavy, intense stuff.
Expose his ass, Emiru.
Yeah, it's been. Sorry, I'm just looping myself now. But yeah, I would hate if like this kind of just went away and people were like, oh, what happened? I don't know. Am I gonna go to TwitchCon next year and like if something happens to me, it's gonna, they're gonna try to hide it, basically. Yeah. I
will say, we all see it, right? That this is literally a Me Too situation. That like more or less what we're seeing here is a woman with a position of prominence bringing attention to the fact that being a woman in this industry brings unique challenges and dangers that need to be addressed and people need to be aware of. Otherwise, it's going to lead to an ignorance that can perpetuate further harm. I feel like when you had these big mainstream celebrities saying exactly these ideas, it was seen as insincere, and people like almost reactionarily responded negatively to that, assuming it must be some kind of like corporate trend or something, or I'm sure many of them had worse assumptions. In the case of this, though, despite the essence of all of it being exactly the same as these like prominent women in Hollywood exposing creepy directors and producers and actors and whatnot for their actions behind the scenes, this comes off as like, I guess, sincere to people in a way that Me Too didn't. And I think that's something that maybe matters here. Like, there's something about this story, this coming forward, that has led to the majority of people online reacting a lot more supportively and a lot less skeptically than they would have in the past. Do I know exactly what that is? I don't. But my theory is that, maybe her audience is just especially based. That's possible. But man, no one online seems to be brave enough to come out defending the person who assaulted her. No one online right now seems to be brave enough to come out defending mizkif, right? I think that speaks volumes as to where people are right now, where the social pressure is leaning.
So, there's that. Give me a second. I have some more stuff I want to talk about, but I'm trying to not, rush myself, because I'm trying my best to, like, stay composed to the best of my ability, so that I can get to the information across accurately. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for, support stuff. Like, honestly, it's been shocking to me, because, I don't know. I guess, like, whenever things happen, I always just kind of expect the bare minimum outcome, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I've just been very, very thankful. Very thankful and, very grateful, and, I hope that whatever comes out of this makes other people feel better. But regardless, like I said, I'm done with going to TwitchCon. Probably done entirely with convention streams. I feel like it's just time, and I think that's probably true for a lot of streamers.
That's probably true as well, KGB. A lot of people probably know Miz as like an asshole and kind of a weirdo, and they probably have a much more positive opinion of Emiru just due to how she is. And when she came out to say these things, just based on character alone, people are just far more likely to believe that she's not lying than the idea that mizkif is being slandered. Because clearly she's not lying. She's pretty. I don't think that's why people are defending her. There are plenty of very attractive, beautiful women who have come forward and accused powerful men of abuse, and people's overwhelming reaction is negative. It's not that she's pretty. There's something about either the times we're in right now, the platform she's on, the audience she's speaking to, or maybe all the above, that is leading to this very different kind of reaction than what we normally see.
It has, really changed. I've been on
happy.
Twitch for 10 years.
I'm happy people are supporting her in this.
Recently. And yeah, it's changed a lot, gone pretty big, and I think that's just, the reality that you have to accept. But, maybe it's not a bad thing, because, you can go back to rotting playing games in your room. It's not so bad, right? Retirement? No.
Base?
Not retirement. Definitely not. Because I'm the kind of person, I'll never give up. You're not gonna make me give up. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh. Fortunately, I'm not done yet. Like I said. But just give me a bit. Was worried you're gonna quit? No. And I don't think I'm gonna go to any other platforms because, first of all, where would I go? And second of all, I really think that, this is something that was just, this is just me, being optimistic, but I feel like it was just a case of, like, we didn't realize that these things could happen, and we obviously don't want them to happen, and, like, things will be better, and, I'm not gonna leave you guys because of, something that someone else did. Yeah, there's, like, other places that, I upload content, but Twitch is, like, really my home. That's why, through all of this, I feel like most people, I didn't make a tweet, but, like, it was...
And that's the sad part, too. Like, the desire for these streamers to not want to have to leave Twitch. Just because Twitch is in a stint of sucking right now, like, when you spend a decade plus, maybe 2 decades on that platform, it's like, man, why should I abandon ship now? Like, I've been on this platform my whole career. Jumping ship from it is a big deal. But I feel that's what people need to be willing to do if any change is going to happen at Twitch. If no change is coming, then you got to be willing to leave, or nothing will ever get better. Twitch is self-aware enough to know that people will just complain forever and never actually act on their complaints. I don't know anything about this woman, and I believe her. I have PTSD in her body language, and what I can tell of her voice sped up is it seems like she's delicately having to approach this to avoid flashbacks. No, you're right. I noticed she tore, like, the bookmark thing off of her binder. Probably not even realizing it, just as, like, kind of a fidgety thing from nervousness. So yeah, it's pretty clear that she is uncomfortable talking about this in a sincere way. Here, let's pop forward to the Miz stuff though, because I don't want us to labor too long on what we've already covered.
It was so ugly. Yeah. This would happen, or I'd ever be just very, for the most part, but I guess in this, so it's like, if I don't do it, who else is gonna do it? I'm just gonna take a second. Sorry, I said that like 4 times, but this is, it's a lot. I hate streams. Me too, man. Bro, like, I could've come home, I could've worked on beating Cinna and Clint's fucking Mega Bonk scores. Now look what I have to do. So fucking annoying, I had to cancel my plans.
None of those words were in the Bible.
I don't think there's gonna be a Halloween stream this year. I don't think that's realistic.
Understandable,
with,
though.
Kind of the vibes of things right now. But is anyone gonna be mad at me if I do like a Halloween in November thing? Or there's always next year, right? Yeah, things happen outside your control. So yeah. It's just crazy, but thank you guys for listening to me talking complain.
None of the people watching right now realize the nuke that she is about to drop. Nothing about what you see right now implies that she's about to drop a nuke. Which makes, like, I have yet to see the chat's live reaction to her, like, basically breaking the news. I've seen the internet's overall reaction, which has been overwhelmingly supportive of her. I assume the chat would reflect the same response, but I have not seen their reaction yet. Like, their first immediate response to her leveraging allegations at mizkif. I've not seen it myself yet, so I'm curious to see how that went. If people in chat were based or cringe. I'm betting they'll be based.
Fine. Okay. Yeah, I
Here we
appreciate
go.
it. So, the next thing, at the end of my last stream, I said that when I got home, I would be talking about some other things that I really did not want to talk about, but I feel like those things, developing independently of their own from the TwitchCon incident, have gone to a point where I kind of feel like I have no choice. So, I've already seen a lot of people speculating about what I'm going to be talking about, and some people have been right, but even for the people who were right, they were only like 5 to 10% right. I don't think I've seen a single person online who knew or understood the severity of what I want to talk about today. And I want everyone to be aware that
It's always so interesting to me when a situation like this is happening and there are people who could totally kind of tell. You know, like, I like to think I'm a pretty decent, like, detector of weird shit happening behind the scenes. Like, I feel like I'm good at, like, measuring people up, telling whether or not they're being fake. But, man, the idea that this was happening behind the scenes, and it wasn't as obvious as many might think now in hindsight. Like, in foresight, it was not so obvious. The people who noticed something was wrong before any of this came out, while they may not have been 100% accurate, they've got some damn good intuition, you got to admit. Like, there are people who saw, it must have been tiny little clues, and put 2 and 2 together and were confident enough in their assumption to state it. And those people, holy fuck, they got some good intuition. It's probably got to feel a little good if you're, like, the victim in this situation, coming forward to know that, like, even before you've come forward, there are people out there that already suspect that what you're about to come forward with is happening based on the small bits of public evidence there are, so that you're coming forward with it is just a like if people are already starting to suspect the truth when you're coming forward with it, it's got to be a lot easier to come forward with the truth. It doesn't feel like you're just approaching a wall of people who are not exactly down to hear it. You know what I mean?
I've been handling the situation very seriously, and I've spent a lot of time thinking this over. And not only that, I've been in contact with a lawyer. I had them review
Smart.
everything that I'm planning to say today, because I wanted to make sure that if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right, because it's so serious. And I feel like it's going to change things forever. And so today,
She's charging up.
I'm finally going to be opening up about and telling everyone. Sorry, I swear I'm not trying to, like, make this dramatic or something. Like I said, I really wish I were not feeling like I had to do this. Just give me some time. I'm gonna be doing a lot of, I guess you could say, like, fourth wall breaking in a way, and talking about things that I thought would always be personal, and just, you know, I would just carry them myself. Today, I'm finally gonna be opening up about the psychological and domestic abuse, stalking and harassment, sexual assault, and threats of blackmail that mizkif has done towards me, and some of these issues.
This goes deeper than I'd heard. I'd heard of full-on assault and threats on her life. Particularly the threat on her life is one that I can relate to a little bit too much. Like, when I heard her tell that story, I was like, oh, fuck. That's way too specific. That's real. She is not lying about that. Yeah, like that. Like, I'd heard like mostly the violent abuse, like the violence and intimidation focused abuse from mizkif. That's what I'd been hearing about. I didn't realize it went deeper than that. That's the first time hearing of it. This is why I'm glad I set this aside and we're watching it now, because this is a situation that I feel, I don't know, if you're a public figure with a platform, I mean, even if it's not that big, this is the kind of thing where I feel you've got a responsibility to cover it, because there are a number of figures who have gotten away with this and worse. And many of those public figures you probably still watch. Who remembers a few years ago when several women came forward to accuse Andrew Callahan, the Channel 5 guy, the guy who does like the interviews on the ground journalism stuff, of like full-on rape? People basically just swept it under the rug. I was told privately by someone who never came forward publicly that they had an experience much the same as the public accusers, and they never went public with their story. They just told me and maybe a couple of other people. And so I damn well know that Andrew Callahan did that shit, because I know people who didn't even come forward who told me stories of Andrew Callahan doing that to them. So they had nothing to gain from telling me. They begged me not to make it like public and specify who they are. Like, I'm allowed to talk about it, but not specify anything beyond that. And that just tells me all I need to know. There's no reason to lie in a situation like that. Like, there are just a lot of people with big platforms who have done and been exposed for awful things like this, and people just forget about it. If that creator or that person with a big platform can effectively do so, them and their fans will sweep it until there is not a semblance of mention of that online anywhere that people could stumble across. They'll rehabilitate their image, they'll bury the story, and they'll get away with it. Andrew Callahan got away with it. Obviously, we all know that Dr. Disrespect got away with it, and there are countless others. You know, it's just there's a responsibility to hold public figures who do these horrible things to account, to like cover this stuff and to disseminate the truth about it. Otherwise, people will come along and continue to support that person because they won't know. Andrew Callahan's career is still alive, by the way. Yeah, he's more successful than ever right now, post those allegations. They got sweeped. People completely forgot. Not enough people covered it. Not enough people talked about it. Tax folder, yeah, Vosh got away with the tax folder thing. You know, like there's a responsibility people have to talk about these things,
which are still ongoing. For the entirety of this year, I've attempted to separate myself from him and not talk about him at all, and not talk about this issue and just not make it a public thing. I always tried my best to keep this to myself, but like I said, I feel like it's gone to the point, which I'll explain later, that I feel like it just has to be done. And I have always believed in not condemning people or starting drama online. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be asking, why am I doing this and why now? And I would like to explain that before I get started so that people understand what prompted me to do this today, and that it's not just on a whim or something like that. Okay, so like I said, I took a lot of notes, so forgive me if I just end up reading off my notes. The first and probably most severe reason is that one of the rules that I set for myself a long time ago about withholding this information was that if I ever felt like somebody else was in danger of being hurt, I would then make myself speak about it. And 2 weeks ago—
it's a good standard.
3 weeks ago now.
Obviously, in a perfect world, all victims would feel powerful, empowered, and safe coming forward to expose their abusers and seek justice. But many abusers, or I should say, many abuse victims, don't actually harbor all that much, like, hatred for their abuser. Oftentimes, there's a level of sympathy and understanding that is not met by the other party, that remains, and it can be very hard to, like, actively, knowingly take an action that could hurt them, even if they would have done the same to you, right? And that's kind of the dilemma that Emiru was in. Despite mizkif, never in a million years would mizkif think twice about potentially hurting Emiru's career with something he could release about her. Meanwhile, Emiru has sat on this information for a while, with her policy being, as long as he's only hurting me, as long as he has only hurt me, I can take it, I'll sit on this information, I won't expose him, because I can take it. you know? But if he is hurting other people, if there are other girls, other women out there that he's doing this to, it's no longer just me anymore. It's not my preference. It's a matter of justice for others. And so her policy has been, if she finds out that it's not just her, she's got to come forward with it. And that is a good standard to have. That this means that she is putting the safety of others over her own comfort. I think that is probably a big part. The humility she's demonstrating here, the how humble she is, her humility, all these things really do seem to indicate an air of sincerity that it makes sense why so many people are on board with supporting her. It makes sense. She is very sincere here.
I was informed by 3 separate people, one of whom was present for said incident, that he had done something similar to something that he had done to me, and to someone in LA at the end of September. And this person is not a streamer or content creator, but obviously that does not matter. And because of this, I cannot in good conscience sit here knowing that I know critical information about someone that almost no one else does and not say anything. I think that most issues and dramas should stay private and off the internet, and I still hold that belief to this day, and I will hold that belief going forward. However, there are certain things that cross the line, and I say that the line has been crossed too many times to be count. There's a point where I believe that people deserve to know. I think that at a certain point, if you know a lot of things about someone and you don't say anything to look out for others, it's wrong. It's wrong to keep it to yourself. I don't want what happened to me or what has happened to other people because of him to happen to other people, and I don't believe he will ever stop behaving the way he does. But regardless, yeah, like I said, one of the main reasons I decided to do this stream is to come out about all of this because I can't hold on to it any longer because it feels wrong to do so. And an honorable mention reason for why I'm doing this is that for a while, he has been indirectly threatening me through my friends and people that I work with. They've informed me that he said that if I ever talked about anything he did, he would try to create a smear campaign against me in retaliation. I was told that he even approached other streamers who were close with us back when we lived together, asking them if they would join with him, and they all refused.
I've heard the rest of what she's about to say. If you think mizkif sounds evil now, wait till you hear her finish.
At TwitchCon, he approached one of my employees, threatening them and saying if I ever talked about him, he would destroy me. Multiple people have told me that his plan was to claim that I kill animals and that I killed my own rabbits, since I had several of my rabbits pass away over the course of 3 years while I lived with him.
That is a level of evil you gotta think about for a second, and then when it hits you, it'll fill you with a level of rage. Borderline indescribable. I need you guys to imagine right now, your beloved pets that you would die for. They pass away. It's out of your control. They've gotten old. They're animals. They age faster than humans. They got shorter lifespans. They can't live forever. And you're mourning them. And it's a tragedy. And you're crying. You're upset. You've lost a beloved pet. And you find out that your abuser has a backup plan in case you ever dare tell people about what he did to you. That your ex who abused you has a plan to weaponize your dead beloved pets against you to engage in retaliatory career ruination using your fallen beloved family, more or less, because pets are family, against you. There could be no more a blatant, obvious attempt to attack someone in a way that is meant to hurt. It's not just meant to be like, oh, you're swinging at me, I'll swing back at you. It's like pulling out a knife and then kicking sand in their eyes after they're down. Like, that's the level of, like, evil and malice behind doing such a thing. Like, like his plan wasn't even just a pre-planned self-defensive strategy. Like, his plan was to destroy her in the most hurtful way possible if she ever came forward. Evil shit. Evil.
I'm sure he's probably listening now, and it's probably going to come as quite a shock to him that this information made its way back to me and that I've known for months. But if you try to threaten me to stay quiet, especially using my poor dead animals, I'm not going to stay quiet. Okay. So now that I've explained all the reasons why this took so long and why I made the decision to do this stream, I have a few more things I would like to get out of the way before I start talking about all of this. The way that I'm going to do this today is I'm going to run through everything from the beginning to the end to try to get across the story as accurately and fully as I can. And Hold on. Hold on. I'm also going to be showing a few screenshots validating what I'm saying. I have more things, but this is what I felt comfortable using today. And I will be running through those later. Another thing that I'd like to mention before I start is that during my statement, I'm going to be mentioning directly the names of about half a dozen other creators who were present for certain things. And I want to say that none of these people did anything wrong. I'm just saying that they were there, and I've asked all of them permission. They all said that it was fine to include their names, but I know this won't stop everyone, but I ask people, for the streamers that I mentioned, please don't go bothering them or asking them for more information. If there's something else that they want to say, they'll say it themselves, so there's no point to go pester them and bother them about it. There are also streamers who gave me permission to share things that they relayed to me privately, but asked me to redact their names, which I, of course, did. And the last thing that I want to make clear is that not every person that I interact with or that I'm friends with knew the extent of all of these things, and in fact, most of them didn't, and some of them didn't even know anything at all. I tried to keep things private with my close friends, but if anyone during the past year ever approached me asking questions, I didn't lie and I told them the truth. But, yeah, I don't want there to be some kind of witch hunt like, oh, you know, you knew and this, no, a lot of people, you know, didn't know everything or didn't know anything. Okay, I think that something that really helps with the way that this comes off for a lot of people is that there is a sincere sense of concern for the person she's exposing, you know? Like, it doesn't even come off as insincere. She comes off as genuinely concerned for others, and, like, this is not a selfish, like, selfish, quote-unquote. That's how many centrists would see it. A selfish move to destroy someone's career for your own justice, which is somehow selfish in the minds of a lot of people online. Instead, it comes off as, like, selfless. It comes off as though she would have been fine sitting on this forever if it weren't for the fact that other people are now in danger, and that other people could be, are now in his line of sight for abuse next. It really does make her look really good in this situation. All that I have to get out of the way to start. So, this is public information. I initially moved in. Sorry, I'm still sick, like I said. Okay. This is all public, obviously this part. I moved in with him, I believe it was the end of 2021, because he offered. I was living alone at the time, and I was having stalker issues in Kansas, and I mean, you guys know, like, all the stuff that happened there. I ended up joining the org and everything. We did a lot of streams together, and I mean, a lot of people.
Being a female streamer is a fucking nightmare. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but, like, the amount of persistent stalking problems that, like, popular female streamers deal with, it's, like, it's insane. How many of you guys are familiar with the shit that Sweet Anita faced? She probably got it the worst. I don't think anyone's had it as bad as her. Her situation was fucking insane. And, of course, Twitch does nothing to protect their streamers. Twitch didn't give a fuck. I'm pretty sure Twitch even allowed this stalker to fuck with her. I don't know if this situation has been resolved, but it is crazy.
One day I went to the shops.
Yeah, here's her talking about it.
I asked him
like,
if he had a knife this time.
This shit, oh my god, like, I really hope that we're beginning an era where popular female figures, particularly Twitch streamers, are about to, like, reality pill a significant amount of their, like, male audience into understanding how scary it can be to be a woman. Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, even I, for a very long time, being a guy, your perception of the existence living as a cis woman is really stilted. Ask most guys, and if they're being honest with you, they probably think that women have, like, everything in life handed to them. Like, maximum charitability, maximum, kindness, maximum, people concerned about you if anything is wrong, if you seem hurt or like someone might be attacking you. And there are a lot of ways in which our society has double standards that favor women over men, but there are a lot more ways in which the double standards favor men over women. But for a lot of young guys, why do you specify cis? Because most trans women face a unique kind of harassment, and it's based on their gender, but it's more so based on them being trans. Like, I don't think most trans women are getting assaulted and murdered or raped or any number of these issues because they're women. I think more often than not, it's because they're trans, and we would probably see similar representation among trans men if they weren't more commonly like full stealth mode. But yeah, when it comes to cis women, a lot of cis guys, they don't really understand their experience all that well. If anything, their perception is that women have it super easy, but just complain about being unsafe all the time. And so just giving an experiential insight into like, hey, are you a guy? Have you ever thought about becoming a streamer? Well, if you were a woman, this is the type of shit you would have to be worrying about. I can tell you now, I get a lot of hate. I don't have people like Sweet Anita has stalking me. Like, I've had stalkers, but it's like internet stalking shit. Nothing like what you're about to hear here in this video. Sorry. And this ties into what we're watching now about Emiru, mind you.
One day I went to the shops. He followed me from my house to the shops. I asked him if he had a knife this time. He stayed silent.
Up to 700,000 women are stalked each year. Nearly 54% of female victims and 41% of male victims experience stalking before the age of 25. Holy shit. That is a really crazy stat. What the fuck? That is insane.
I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, or if we're going to lower the tone a bit here, but didn't you actually have like a serious issue with a stalker once? Because it's all well and good us like laughing at the sort of the creepy DMs, but there is a time when it can go too far, isn't there?
Fuck off. I've got a stick. There are times when it has gone.
Oh. I should probably clarify. I didn't even mention it because I assume you all know who Sweet Nita is. She has Tourette's. So if she says anything a bit non sequitur, that's why.
Bad. So there was a stalker whilst I was streaming. I have had bad stalkers in the past, but the one that sticks out for everyone is one of the worst. I think in the top 5, I'd say.
She seems quiet. Yeah, this clip is really quiet. Holy shit! What is the audio balancing on this podcast? I boosted it. I just used an add-on built into my browser to boost the audio so that we can actually hear it.
In the top 5, how many have you had?
Been streaming quite a few.
Do you mean like
in person trouble? Yeah.
Really?
I don't mean messages online. That's not a stalker.
So
that's a guy with a hop. That's fine.
So this is people trying
That's a
to
chef.
find where you are.
Yeah, we're trying to find where I am. So he was sleeping in my back garden, watching my house. He was waiting for me to come out. Sometimes.
Isn't stalking a crime that gives you the right to kill the stalker? No. Not even in America do I think it's do you have the legal right to kill a stalker. You realize it's not legal to kill anyone in America, right? You realize that, like, if a guy breaks into your house and is actively, like, stabbing you to death when you wake up, and you grab your gun and blow his brains out and call the police to come get you, once you're no longer, like, needing to be in the hospital, you're getting put in jail. And then you're going to be given a court date. And the local district attorney is going to try to press charges against you. And they're going to do an investigation. And they're going to try to find any evidence that you did not act justly and legally when doing so. That's not true. Okay, that is. Nothing I said was untrue. You prematurely said that's not true. The DA will try to find any evidence that you did not act lawfully. Doesn't mean they're going to try to pin you with some bullshit. They might, I mean, theoretically. But they are going to try to find any mistake that you made. And this means that in any situation where you are using lethal force to defend yourself, what you need to understand is, and this is not coming from me, I'm more or less word for wording all the training I've done, you know, ex-cops teaching USCCA classes and stuff, getting my permit and whatnot, my concealed weapons permit. You never want to actually have to use your weapon lethally to defend yourself. For one, you're never even allowed to draw your gun unless you are in imminent danger, like imminent lethal danger. Like, if you do not believe that your life is threatened, you're not even allowed to show your gun. You can't be like, warning shot, or I've got a piece on me, don't fuck with me. That is not something you can do. That fucker better not be coming out unless you are about to be attacked and killed, or a family member is about to be attacked and killed. Even if they come into your house, you can't just shoot them and tell the cops, oh, trust me, bro, he was breaking in. Do you really think that that's the cop's standard of proof for one person killing another and just being like, oh, of course, yeah, it must be legal? No. The law around it is very, very strong. The district attorney and investigators will try to find any evidence that you broke the law in defending yourself. If you are going to use lethal force to defend yourself, then you better be facing the problem of being about to die, and you better be willing to trade being about to die for being about to go to jail, because that's probably how it's going to go. And yeah, no, you're not allowed to kill your stalker, is my answer to that question. No, you're not even necessarily allowed to kill the guy who is actively attacking you, in the sense that, like, you are, but, like, it's so specific that if you make a mistake, you could end up in the trouble. Anyway, just thought I'd answer that question.
I'd walk past my front door and there'd just be eyes through the letterbox watching.
No.
I'm not kidding. He would constantly threaten to kill me in front of everyone on my stream, and he'd come into my chat and he'd be like, I'm coming over now. It's gonna happen. You're gonna die and everyone's going to see. I'd call the police. They wouldn't even come over. I'd give them evidence and recordings. He assaulted me in front of a friend of mine. He gave a statement and they took him in overnight, let him go. They just were so lenient with it. And one day I went to the shops. He followed me from my house to the shops. I asked him if he had a knife this time. He stayed silent.
So, like, if you're wondering, like, why is it common for female streamers who are prominent to live in content houses or to live as roommates with, like, 1 or 2 or 3 more male streamers? Are they dating? Not necessarily. Maybe sometimes that's the case, but more often than not, for a lot of these big female streamers, they are dealing with actual stalking situations. And if they're single and living alone, like, every night is like COD zombies, like hold off the potential stalker, like, crouched outside your window when you go to sleep. It's a terrifying situation. You don't want to live alone as a woman with a prominent platform online, single, no roommates, no guns because it's England or whatever, and that's it. You don't, like, that's a terrifying situation. And so a lot of prominent female streamers are roommates with, like, a good handful of like, male streamers in a content house, because it's like, just like Emiru did, it was safer than the situation where she was living alone and she had stalkers, right? Like, this kind of shit is a real problem. And I feel like this could be a big reality pill for a lot of young men to help them empathize with exactly how bad it is for a lot of these women out here. That it's not just, like, whining or making things up or over-exaggerating. Like, seriously, imagine if every night when you went to bed, there's probably a guy crouched outside your window waiting for you to go to sleep. Like, that has happened multiple times, you know? I wonder if that's why Jaden lives with Alpha Rad. It's probably why Jaden lives with Alpha Rad, yeah. I would bet a lot of money. They're not dating, so it's probably why they live together, yeah.
People already know this, but I'm just gonna come out and say it. We started dating. We were in a relationship starting January 2022 after I joined OTK. I'm not planning to go into too much detail about the start of the relationship because it honestly doesn't really matter at this point. It's irrelevant now. The only things that really matter that you guys need to know for the story are that it was, one, an extremely private relationship. It was even hidden from friends and people in the org, but I mean, obviously people all eventually figured out they're not fucking...
I hope this is a reality check for young men, but I fear it'll be another situation like Gamergate. Well, that's the reason why my optimism is present here, Bunk57, is that people are not responding that way. People are not defending mizkif. People are not defending these stalkers and abusers. People are defending her. The overwhelming response, like overwhelming response to her coming out about this has been support. There are not a lot of people, if any, out here going, "Me Too has gone too far," which is stark compared to, like, even a year ago had this story come forward.
Stupid. And second, it was an extremely codependent relationship, which it's not the issue, but let's just, you know, making that clear for details. He initially portrayed himself to me as someone who was very nice to girls and wanted to help me feel safe from stalkers and wanted me to succeed as a teammate, and we grew very close over time, and I was very dependent on him for feelings of safety, social life, like my stream, my job, everything. So yeah, besides it being a very codependent relationship, the start of it was fine. I saw a lot of people mentioning this. They thought this was what I was going to talk about. It's not a secret. I think everyone who paid attention knew that he was very controlling over what I wore, to a degree, who I was friends with, and even when I would stream. So when it was definitely slow over time that bad things started happening. At the start, it would be things like, for example, he would throw bottles, like plastic bottles with liquid in it, not like glass bottles, at me, despite me telling him like I didn't like it and it scared me and I bruised very easily. He would throw his phone at me. I would tell him, it scared me, I don't like it. And one time it even hit me in the eye, which caused me to get a black eye, but he always, was like, oh, it's an accident. And I was like, oh yeah, it's an accident. Like, of course I'm not gonna think that, I just, at the time, I just kind of was, I just brushed it off. And looking back now, I feel like that was kind of the start of him testing my boundaries, if that makes sense.
You know what's crazy? I bet mizkif thought internally, I'm not that bad. I'm only throwing plastic bottles at her. Now, if they were glass, I'd be a real abuser.
So that was already kind of starting to show signs within the first 6 months of me and him being close. And then, again, a very public situation. The end of 2022, the cover-up allegations happened. I mean, yeah, like I said, all that's public.
That's in reference to OTK, One True Kings, getting called out for covering up multiple affiliated streamers with their group, engaging in creepy behavior with women, and Emiru being part of OTK at the time, or at least like really close to them. Obviously wasn't like caught in the drama. It's just more that one of those situations where people were like, did you see anything? Do you have any like takes on it? Do you have anything you want to talk about? And that was a big drama like a year or two ago.
Public, you can find all that, see like what I said during that, everything. After that happened, his behavior started getting a lot worse, which, I mean, I suppose it makes sense. He was very stressed. A lot of stuff was happening, but
this probably also plays very well into her coming off as sincere here. She's defending him. Like, I shouldn't say defending him. She's in a very, like, in a way that only a real victim of abuse could, trying to clarify, well, he wasn't totally unreasonable for this act. It was in, he shouldn't have been this way, but, he had his reasons for why he was so upset. It's like, you can tell that there is still a level of, like, or maybe it's just that she's a caring person in general, but she, regardless of what it is, the level of sincerity, the sincerity vibes coming off of this, the waves are strong.
The bad behavior was ramping up, and I feel like it's so apparent if, like, you go back and watch anything from that time. I tried so hard to help him and be there for him because I really believed in him, and I wanted him to, get better and get back on his feet and be the person that, I always believed that he was. But that, unfortunately, did not really happen. For a long time, I think about a year and a half from when that all happened, it was kind of like slow things getting worse, but, I mean, honestly, I'm not even gonna bother going into the details of all of that because there's just too much to cover, and, it's honestly kind of not really relevant to the rest of what I'm saying because the rest of what I want to say is a lot worse. There was a point where things really took a turn for the worst. Like, it felt like, like a very delicate branch just kind of snapped. So, and again, a lot of people are like vaguely aware of this, but I'll explain it for people who aren't, chronically tapped into all that stuff. So for a long time after the like cover-up allegations happened and he was like starting to kind of struggle on his stream, he never wanted to stream at the same time as me. Like we really avoided it. And to me
this is the part of the story that I find so fucking funny. If I were a streamer, if I were a streamer who was dating a successful, popular, like, I'll say attractive female streamer who is extremely successful, makes a ton of money, has like a very strong independent platform separate from my own, like, in what world would I want to view that as a bad thing? Like, what is going on in mizkif's head that the idea of being in a presumably, if it weren't for him, happy relationship with a woman that has more career stability in the world of streaming than him. And I know, like, men getting self-conscious about, their girlfriend or wife making more money than them. Yeah, of course. But, man, let's be real. This is streaming. Maybe mizkif has, like, fuck you amounts of money and could retire tomorrow and be fine. He probably does. But, like, I don't know, from my POV, I wouldn't see it as, like, emasculating or threatening. It'd be like, oh, thank God we're not fucked if my channel goes belly up, Like, shit, you got your own successful thing going on. If my stuff starts to waver, your stuff's still popping off. We don't have to worry. Like, I don't know why he would be upset about that. The idea of them being a dual income successful streamer household. Like, I don't know how that could possibly bother a reasonable man. Like that is a level of insecurity I genuinely can't imagine.
Time it made sense because I was like, well, of course, like we share a lot of community members. If we're live at separate times, we're both gonna perform better. It makes sense. But yeah, we were never really live doing the same thing at the same time for a long time, with the exception of like things like events or sponsors or like just special things for a very long time. And a lot of you guys probably noticed that I would only usually stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That was because of him. And now I stream whenever I want. But
Based.
The first time that we ever streamed at the same time was for the 2024 Rust Kingdoms event on Twitch. We were sharing drops, so it was the first time in a very long time that we were...
Okay, I did see clips of what she's referring to now. People went back and they clipped a bunch of instances of that stream she's talking about, and oh my god. You can tell. You get, like, knowing the context now, watching those clips, it's so obvious what's going on behind the scenes. Like, it's hard to watch.
We're both going to be live at the same time, doing the same thing, basically. I know you're probably like, what the fuck's that to do with anything? But, it'll make sense in a bit. So, I'm live, he's live, we're both streaming, and like I said, you can go find all of this. This is public, there are clips of this. We're both streaming the Rust event, and I thought it was going really well. I thought everyone was having fun. I was like, oh, this is great. Everyone's, doing the same thing at the same time. We're all hanging out, we're gonna have fun. Like, I was really, really excited. And then I start seeing in my chat, people start saying, unofficial Ms. raid, and I'm like, what does that mean? And then I check my Discord messages, and he's messaging me. He's saying, like, Emmy, I'm gonna kill myself, I waited, or I'm gonna KMS, I waited so long for this, etc. And basically he was upset.
He texted his girlfriend that he was going to kill himself because she was pulling a couple thousand more viewers than he was. Now, let me emphasize how, on its face, there is a level of silliness that doesn't even need to be explained about that logic. Like, it is on its face absurd. Hilarious, even. But you want to know what makes it even funnier? You want to know what makes it even funnier? mizkif was pulling, like, 16,000 viewers during that Rust event. Emiru was pulling, like, 18 to 20,000. So yeah, she was getting more viewers than him, a few thousand more. But to be very clear, mizkif was still pulling over, like, close to 20,000 viewers as well. Okay? So this is a man having a meltdown at his girlfriend, threatening to kill himself because her stream has a few thousand more viewers than his 16,000 viewer stream. Like, it's the end of the world, and she ruined everything by viewer leeching him because he only has 16,000 people watching his Rust stream. Holy fuck. That is crazy.
Because I had higher viewership than him. That's literally it. I had higher viewership than him. And like I said, this is during an event, so there were drops. Like, everyone knows when there's drops, like, it's not even fucking real, but yeah. He starts messaging me, he's really upset. I tried to tell him, I was like, bro, you should come back and play. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's, like, wondering where you are. But yeah, he ended the stream.
And like, she actively tries to, like, cheer him up, too, because, like, she reminds him, like, it's a Twitch drops event. Because, like, this event, Rust was running Twitch drops, which are basically certain streamers get assigned a random cosmetic that if a viewer watches their stream for a certain amount of time, they're basically guaranteed during the run of that stream, depending on its length, if you watch it for long enough, and the amount of viewers there are, you're basically guaranteed to get a free code sent to you by Twitch for watching the stream long enough and being one of the lucky people who gets picked in like a sort of every 5 minutes raffle, and you get like a code to claim a cosmetic or a game. I know that the first Twitch drops, and I took part in this, was to get a beta key to get into Valorant when it was in beta. I got that beta key, and I got into Valorant early. Didn't end up liking it all that much, but I've played a decent amount of Valorant. It's okay. That said, though, like, to be clear, she's trying to cheer him up by pointing out that, like, yeah, her views are higher, but it's probably just because of the Twitch drops. People would have probably gone to mizkif's stream, waited for their drop to come in, got their drop, and then switched to the next Rust stream during the event just to run through and get as many cosmetics from Twitch drops for free as they could. And obviously, maybe Emiru had a really good skin for her Twitch drop, so she was getting more viewers because people wanted her skin more. It could literally be any number of those things, but she points this out and tries to cheer him up, and he's still mad about it. You can't make this up. Like, abuse of your partner on its own, on its face, evil, but like, could he have at least found a better reason? Could he have at least found a less pathetic reason to abuse his girlfriend?
And then I am still alive, trying to act like nothing's wrong. And in that house, I had a glass door so I could like see this was happening. He was walking behind me, making sure that I knew he was there. And by the way, so there were many ways out of that house if he wanted to leave the house that were closer to his stream room. He intentionally chose the door that was right by my room. I feel like that's pretty apparent, at least to me. He starts walking behind my stream and slamming the door so loud that my noise gate can pick it up, so even people on my stream are able to hear this is happening. And he slams it so hard and so many times that the front door...
I saw a few clips on Twitter where you can see this happening. Like, where you can actively hear him slamming the door, and she, like, pauses, is, like, visibly a little distressed for a second, waits a second, like, recaptures what she was saying, and then resumes. And when you don't know the context, it just sounds like there's some noise in the house, and she got a little distracted by it. No big D. But with this context, it's like, oh, we know that she's not lying here. We know she's telling the truth because we've got video of him doing it. And she's definitely using a noise gate, and you're definitely hearing it through the noise gate, which means he's slamming that door really, really fucking loud. Like, enough that the audio is traveling through a wall and a digital audio noise gate meant to keep background noise out and to use AI to filter out just you speaking for your audience to hear. Like, I'm using a noise gate right now, so like if I clap, you probably won't hear it. Oh, you do hear it. Okay, well, that's neat. But if I like snap, you probably won't. Unless, am I using the wrong? Let me check. No, I'm on the right thing. So yeah, at least when it comes to background noise, like if someone slammed a door or like, I don't know, I dropped something behind me, you probably wouldn't hear it. But I'm glad you can hear me clapping. That's probably actually handy for like bits and stuff like that.
Literally broke. The lock did not work anymore. It didn't work for months, and it would just make this horrible sound that I would have to hear like every fucking day. But anyway, so I hear him back there doing this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I tell my stream, I'm like, hey, guys, I'll be right back. I get up and I go talk to him, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, Emmy, like, I hate all you guys. Like, all you guys do is just take from me, and like, I'm just done. Like, I'm just done. And I was like, this is like really happening because of rush drops? And he was like, I don't know what else to do. He was like going off on me, like basically saying that he hated me. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. And he was like, go finish your stream so that people don't know anything's wrong. And
Jesus Christ.
I stop in the bathroom outside my stream room, and I'm like, checking my makeup, trying to make sure people can't tell that I was like...
People found this clip too, and it's like her getting up to use the bathroom, and then she's gone for like 20 minutes and comes back, and she's like visibly in a worse mood than she was when she got up to use the bathroom.
Crying. And I'm only in there for like 30 seconds, and he comes and like looms in the doorway. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just checking my makeup. So I go back and I stream for a couple hours to finish the stream. Do my best to just like, carry on the show basically. And yeah, after that, like I said, was when things started to get really fucking bad. It was like something just snapped. For the rest of the week, he streamed the Rust event. He got all the drop viewers. I'm sure he was very happy. I mean, good for him. And during that time, I obviously was like thinking and processing a lot of what happened. But I mean, it was a lot because this person was at the time like kind of it was like my partner and my best friend and like the only person that like I really talked to ever, or like at least off stream. So, I mean, it was a lot. But the very next stream, I went live about a week after that, and I announced that I was planning to move, because I knew that I would have to move. So I was like, okay, I have to go live and say this so that, you know, kind of force myself to commit to it, right? Does that make sense?
Real streamer shit, by the way.
Obviously,
Once you tell your fans you've got a plan to do something, then you've got, like, thousands of people pressuring you to follow through. And that's the cure to procrastination. Real.
didn't move out right away, but after, like, all that rough stuff happened was when the other domestic abuse stuff really started. He would destroy furniture in front of me. He would throw things in front of me and near me. Destroy walls. Again, you can go see this in some of his VODs in his bedroom, the holes in the wall. There would be times where he was upset at me, and I would go to my stream room and literally lock myself in to get away from him. And he would be banging on the door and screaming at me. And at the time, he also would more often do things like going, like if we were driving in the car together, he would be going like 150 miles an hour. And like one time he even said like, well, now we're both gonna die, like threatening to kill both of us.
I won't elaborate, but I've been in a similar situation. It is scary, bro. It is scary to be like chilling in a car and then all of a sudden the driver is like using the idea of crashing the car as like a manipulation strategy against you. It's not a good feeling, and it is so specific that she used this as an example. Yeah, you never get into the car again with someone who does that, yeah. Obviously. But that example was so specific and so real. When I heard her say that, when I saw the clip of her saying that, I knew she wasn't lying. 150 miles an hour, though? I mean, there are plenty of areas where you can go 150, and I'm pretty sure he's got, like, a nice car, so the idea that it can hit 150 is not that crazy. So, yeah. Like, we're talking wealthy streamer here. 150 miles an hour ain't that fast, okay? Like, can we know that 150 isn't, like, like, it's fast as in will kill you in a wreck, and he was threatening her life, obviously. But, like, in terms of, is it that crazy that he was able to hit that speed for any amount of time? No. 150 isn't so fast you literally can't get there. Twice the speed of the rocket that went to the moon? No. No. The rocket that went to the moon would have been traveling thousands of kilometers a second. You understand the gulf between 150 miles an hour and thousands of kilometers a second, right? Like, no, I mean, I'm just clarifying. Normal cars go 120, 150 ain't even all that crazy. Yeah, like he's got a, they're wealthy. I don't know why we're stun locking on this. It's obviously plenty, like maybe she exaggerated the speed by a couple dozen miles an hour maybe, but even if she wasn't, it's not that unbelievable that he hit 150, okay? Like, it's not unbelievably fast.
And this wasn't like even necessarily because of me or like because of something I did a lot of the time. Like one of the times that it happened, it was...
I thought it was 60 miles an hour to get to the moon, or am I grossly misremembering a documentary I saw as a child? A good rule of thumb, just to have an idea of how fast like something would have to go to get like anywhere in space, is the fact that just to orbit the Earth without falling down to it, the ISS moves at like, I think it's 8,000 kilometers a second. I think it's moving at like no, not 8,000 kilometers, 8,000 meters a second. So I think it's moving at like 8 kilometers a second. And that's ridiculous speed, just to maintain orbit around the Earth. So, yeah. Oh, 14,000 miles an hour is the ISS's speed in MPH. I just know the kilometer amount, because that's what the astronauts always say. They never say it in miles an hour. Anyway.
Was because, we were just getting food, and he was on his phone, and he saw that
24
Mr.
kilometers
Beast had
per
put out
hour.
a video, and Mr. Beast had invited another streamer, and he was like, oh, Mr. Beast invited this guy to his video, not me. And I was like, oh, well, you know, like, huh, yeah, I guess so. Which led to him going 150 miles per hour in the car and talking about killing himself while doing it.
Yeah, terrifying. And manipulative as fuck.
Other things would happen, like I'd be
Death
trying to
threat.
sleep and he would scream at me and say that it was all my fault that he felt insecure. There was a time that I walked into a room that he was in, and as soon as he saw me there, he threw his phone at the dresser and started yelling because I had posted a YouTube video within the same couple of days as him, and mine was doing better. So basically, I felt like I was kind of stuck in a loop where I felt like I had to constantly perform and like prove my value to not be thrown away. But at the same time, if I ever performed too well, I was gonna be punished for it. And it just felt like a very rough situation to be stuck in because, I mean, streaming is my hobby and my job. Like, it's a huge part of my life, even before, you know, I met him and became like a larger creator. And I remember thinking all the time how it felt like he hated me, but he still wanted me around for his channel and like his thumbnails and everything. And this is still before I moved out. There was a time
Like, it's so disgusting. It's like, how brain broken and clout hungry do you have to be that, like, not being more successful than your streamer girlfriend is the end of the world for you? And also, you only view said streamer girlfriend as a source of clout. Like, how much of your human soul has to have been evaporated away by the hunt for clout for you to lose, like, every last semblance of, like, compassion for another human being? Like, a person who shows concern and care, like, and I don't know Emiru personally, but she comes off as very sweet. So, like, the fact that this dude was, like, abusing the fuck out of her, using her for, like, arm candy, clickbait, like, clout, and never even really seemed to indicate any actual care for her, despite how much care she's, even after all of the abuse, demonstrated for her, or for him, it's like, oh my god. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable writing a villain like mizkif, because I'd feel like I'd get too much criticism for writing an over-the-top, like, shitty, pathetic villain character that like, too try-hard. I'm trying too hard to make him hateable.
time where it was the tension in the house was so unbearable that I would sneak out and I would sneak into Esfan's house using my code. And Esfan didn't know why I was doing this. He saw me a couple times. I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna go take a nap in your guest room. He'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
Dude, S-Fan's a real one, dude. Bro pulls, like, the least amount of viewers in all of OTK and all of, like, that orbit, or not orbit, that, like, area on Twitch. And I'm not, like, shit-talking him. I think it's a crime. Like, S-Fan has never had severe, like, any kind of serious allegations against him, despite decades of time on these platforms. You know, he's not a guy with any kind of, like, shady past. And he's got a long history online. So if he had a shady past, you feel like it would have come forward. You've got, like, Emiru talking about how she would just go to his house, say, I'm gonna take a nap in your guest room, and he'd just be like, all good. And just not bother her, just let her go, just take a nap in his guest room, and just left her like, S-Fan just comes off, like, in everything I've ever heard about him and seen of him, he comes off as, like, a genuinely really good person. I really like S-Fan. He seems like a really chill guy.
Sneak into Esfan's house just to have some time of like peace and quiet. But eventually, he figured out where I was going, and he would go over to Esfan's house to keep telling me off. And there was a time that he did it, and I was laying in the guest room bed, and one of the roommates in that house had come to see like why I was crying, and they were standing in the corner. And he came in, and he was very physically aggressive. He was like, Emmy, like, what are you doing? Like, angry. And then as soon as he turned and saw this other person standing there, he instantly, like, deflated and changed his tone. He was like, oh, Emmy, I was wondering where you were. Like, are you coming home?
Mask.
And that roommate, like, later asked me about it. They were like, what the fuck was that? Like, are you okay? And I was just like, oh, it's nothing, because I felt like a lot of the reason that I didn't tell the people around me was because I felt like no one would understand, or even if they understood, it would just be a burden to them, because all of our streams and social circles and communities are so intertwined. I was like, maybe it's just better for me to deal with this and like hope things get better, basically. I honestly don't even remember what the final straw was that I finally was like, okay, it's time to go. Like, I prepared the house that I lived in before this one, like, pretty much immediately after the, like, breaking the front door thing happened, but I was still, like, scared and unsure. So I don't remember what the final straw was, but I remember the day I took Cheddar to the house, because he just randomly started, like, screaming at Cheddar and was like, get that fucking cat out of my house. So I just...
God. There's... I cannot imagine the fear and anger I'd feel in her position, knowing that the abuse is now evolving from being targeted at myself to my pet. Like, that is where shit starts getting serious.
Grabbed Cheddar and put him in my car, and grabbed his litter box and took him there, and I just left him there and never took him back to that house.
Based.
And then I think
Keep
like
the cat
within several
safe.
days after that was when I finally moved out. It was on very short notice. Like I said, I don't even remember what the final straw was because so many things happened, but there was a time when I just knew. I called some movers. I said, hey, can you come tomorrow? And they were like, yeah, and then I literally moved the next day. Moving out.
Now, I would very much like for us to be able to listen to the whole story, but, well, A, I want you guys to go, give this video a view, drop a like, drop a comment, go support this video, give it that algorithm boost so more people see it. I mean, I don't think my, shout-out's gonna do much. It's already got 1.3 million views, but even if 10 of you go and watch this video and help to boost it, I'm sure it has its, sort of snowballing effect, right? So go send some support. The link will be in the description of this video a little later, so I hope you guys go send some kind words, okay? Like, this situation, I feel like Me Too was one of the most important movements that the internet ever saw. And it was the public's opportunity to hold powerful individuals accountable for abusing that power against those with less. And at the time when Me Too happened, it didn't feel like the world, much less America, was ready for that conversation. They should have been. I'll tell you, the victims were ready to have that fucking conversation, but everyone else wasn't. They were ready to make excuses, throw, heap blame off of the abuser and onto other people, even the victim. But right now, it feels like something's different. Maybe this is just a unique situation. I could be wrong. But there's something about this that feels different. Like, now, in a way they weren't before, the normies are ready to have this conversation. I hate that non-victims wanting to have a conversation like this is the bar we have to meet for this to, anything like this to get any traction or to make a difference, but I'm glad to say we're finally seeing a change, and we're seeing far less people coming out and proudly declaring their defense of abusers. Or at least in this case, the abuser. And I think that's a really good sign. We've been in kind of a hole of doomerism and blackpilling lately, and as much of a downer as this story was in a lot of ways, I hope it brings you a semblance of hope that, culturally, people are starting to move. And it's less so in what they're saying, and it's more so obvious in what people are not saying. That's what you got to be looking for first. The first signs that things are starting to get better and that people are starting to break out of the mind control is that it's not what people are saying, it's what people are no longer saying. And I think that's what's speaking volumes to me here with this situation. I'm curious if you guys agree. Leave a comment on this video, like, subscribe if you want to support the channel. I'm really curious to hear in the comments, though, if you think I'm onto something here, if you think that we are starting to see a cultural shift away from that anti-Me Too mindset from years ago. Let me know down below. Follow my social medias if you want to see more from me on other platforms, particularly my fan Discord if you want to be a main part of the hub of my community and fan base where I announce all my new uploads and streams. And if you want to support me directly, financially, help me to be able to make more content for you guys, then consider directly supporting me. Donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website to someone else. It really does help a lot. xanderhall.com/live if you don't know. Or, support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.